Hi, so here's the problem. I, like perhaps many of you, get some of your best ideas when you're taking a pause. And in my case, if I'm walking around the kitchen. Now, this kind of is my kitchen, but I don't know who she is. This is just a mid-journey prompt to show walking around the kitchen. It's hilarious because she literally springs out of my fridge. Anyway, enough of this nonsense, and let's go to something useful to illustrate the problem. So I'll let you read. This is how I defined the problem for me and what I wanted to do. The solution I explored was just to voice record on phone. One of the issues of talking to either ChatGPT or Claude through their apps is it's intended to be bidirectional and very short instructional sentences. I sometimes went into maybe 5 or 6 minutes of just a stream of consciousness on how to solve a particular problem. And after I record these video files, I then set up a make.com scenario that picks up the MP3, uses OpenAI, to create the SRT file. I used the OpenAI solution because trying to use Google's solution is just way too complicated. You go into all sorts of permissions. It's just way simpler using the OpenAI APIs. And then this gets put into a Google Doc and it makes it available to Claude. Now, how is this useful? I'll show you that next because I'll literally show you a use case in action direct from Claude that is doing all of this. But before I do, let me show you how simple the make.com scenario is for anybody who's watching, who's non-technical. One of the beauties about the AI revolution is the ability to create things like SRT files and so on. It's just becoming so easy. And you don't want to be paying like SaaS style subscriptions for something that, like in my case, I'd use this maybe once a week. Why would I want to pay £25 a month for something I use maybe 4 times a month? So here's the scenario, just super simple. Watches when a file has been put into the folder, it gets initiated. The MP3 file gets downloaded, gets pushed into the maker, create a transcription. You can also define your languages. So if you want to use this and you have people outside of the English speaking world, French, Spanish, English, it all works. I've actually tried it. And then creates a document, makes that available, sends me an email because sometimes I quite like to get that and have a look at it. This returns a success message to Claude, which is important, and I'll show you why in a second. When I'm in Claude, I just tell it to do this. And it goes off and initiates that scenario. This allows me to do is it allows me to run the scenario on demand rather than polling every 15 minutes, which eats up operations in make.com. And then in this particular instance, it was quite a heavy file. You can see what happens. And it says, do you want me to fetch it? Or yes. And what this has done, it's very neatly distilled all my thoughts into 8 action points. And then I can take it forward from here. For example, I could say, well, I'll let you read, but I've basically said, okay, now turn this into a work item, collect all the thoughts in my transcript, make sure they're in the notes. And what's neat now is it just goes and does that job for me. So within the space of having ideas and thoughts in my kitchen, I've got a structured way of dealing with the problem. I've captured all the issues. I've got them available to me in the stream of consciousness format, in the structured format, and as a work item. So again, if you find this useful or you want to replicate this, I am intending of creating more detailed how-to videos so you could do this yourself. If that's something you'd find useful, please drop me a comment. And I'm using those comments to make sure that we're focusing on the right things that will be of use. And once again, thank you if you have chosen to subscribe or hit the like button or give a comment. All of those things are just super helpful to me in my human in the loop journey around creating content that will help us all get ahead of AI